Later in topic E, we're going to be converting measurements using fractions. So here's some examples of problems that we'll do. Koalas sleep for 20 hours a day, and I want to know what part of a day that is, what fraction of a day. So we will think again about a tape diagram where the whole thing is 24 hours, and some part of it is 20 hours. And I want to know what part that is out of the 24. So that we'd read that as 20 hours out of 24 hours, because that's how many there are in a day. Again, we're converting days to hours, and a whole day is 24 hours. And 20 24ths then we would simplify by dividing by 4 into 5/6 of a day. Similarly, you'd get a problem like this. It says 9 ounces equals how many pounds? And I would ask myself, how many ounces are in 1 pound? And the answer to that is 16. So this is 9 out of 16 ounces. And that can't be simplified. There is nothing that goes into 9 and 16. So that would simply be 9/16 of a pound. Then we'll do some more conversions with fractions using mixed numbers. So in this case, we've got 4 1/3 yards equals how many feet? This one is different because we're starting with a large unit and we're moving to a smaller unit. So now we want to think about our tape diagram just a little bit differently. So there's my 4 1/3 yards. And I'm thinking about feet, so I'm going to think about there's 1 yard, and that's going to be equal to 3 feet. And there's another yard, and that's going to be equal to 3 feet. And then I got another yard, and that's going to be equal to 3 feet. And yet another yard, there's my 4 yards. And then I got 1/3 of a yard, and I have to figure out what that 1/3 of a yard would be. And since there's 3 feet in 1 yard, I know that there would be 1 foot there. And I could figure it out that way and do 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 feet. Or I could think about how when I go from a large to a small unit, I multiply by the conversion factor. So I could do 4 1/3 times 3. 3 is the conversion factor because there's 3 feet in 1 yard. And I could change this to 13/3 times 3, which equals 39/3, which is equal to 13. Again, we still get our 13 feet. Now in this problem, we're going from quarts to gallons. So again, we're going from a small unit to a large unit. So we're going to do the opposite then. We're going to try and find the fraction that is of that. So again, I'm going to show this tape diagram, and that represents 1 gallon. Since there's 4 quarts in a gallon. And then my 3 1/2 quarts are going to come right up to there. There's my 3 1/2 quarts. And I'm trying to figure out what part that is of the whole thing. Now, the conversion factor there is 4, so I'm going to be dividing by that. So, or the other way to think about it would be I'm either going to divide by 4 or multiply by 1/4. And since we know how to multiply fractions right now, we're going to do that, multiply by 1/4. Because I know that multiplying by 1/4 is the same as dividing by 4. So I'm going to take my number of quarts, 3 1/2, and I'm going to turn that into a fraction greater than 1, which would be 7/2. And then I'm going to multiply that times 1/4. That's my conversion factor. And that becomes 7/8. I just multiply straight across like we learned in the earlier modules. And so 3 1/2 quarts would be 7/8 of a gallon. And it makes sense here too with our tape diagram here, because we can think about 1, 2, 3. Here's 1 quart, 2 quarts, 3 quarts, and then these are each a half of a quart. And if I think about it that way, and I split these down the middle so they're all halves, now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, and 7 of those eighths get me the 3½ quarts.